more power and more mileage, or your money back. Get the guaranteed split-fire advantage at leading automotive stores from coast to coast.
Driving a Volvo usually inspires a certain sense of safety. Well, now we offer an additional sensation. The Volvo 850 GLT. The Volvo 850 GLT was voted the best new car in the $20,000 to $30,000 class. Who are we to disagree?
The time has finally come for the cordless power roller from Wagner. Now you control the flow of paint, so the Wagner power roller can cut jobs in half. Smoothly and evenly, it can cover areas twice as fast. And cleanup is a snap, so you can finish one job and do another. Get your hands on a real value, because the value of Wagner keeps on rolling.
We are back live. Alain Prost back in the pits. We understand it is beginning to rain around the racetrack. I can't tell whether those are grooved rain tires or not. James Allen is down in the pits. And Michael Schumacher is in the gravel. It must be slick out there.
The day is over when you get into the gravel trap as deep as Schumacher is. No matter how, look, he spins the rear wheels. Forget it, the day is over. But Prost makes another pit stop, taking a gamble that wet weather tires are going to be the best now.
Let's get down to James Allen in the pits. James, what's going on?
Well, it's raining quite hard down here now, just like it was this morning. And Prost has changed indeed to groove tires, and Senna's team has got the groove tires ready.
Another car in the traps is Mark Blundell. The Ligier is off, and you can see that dirt on Ayrton Senna's car. How he got through that tangle that took Blundell off, I'll never know.
Well, this is interesting here. Senna went by the pits. He's happy with his slicks right now. Each team will monitor the speed of each other's cars as they change tires, and very often that gives you the cue to come in. Now, Senna now knows that Prost is on wets, and his team is ready for Senna to make the decision, or the team management could make the decision for him and send the information to him via the radio.
There you see the asymmetrical tread design on the Goodyear tires. Ayrton Senna, now here's something that he does superbly well, something else I guess, driving around in slick conditions on non-groove tires.
He just threw his tear-off away, so obviously he's done with that one. There's enough mud and dirt and debris on that one. But I mean, how much can you say about Senna? To go out and watch him on the racetrack, even here at Donington, he's just different. His lines are different. The way he goes about his racing is different. He's just different, and he's faster than everybody.
There's Terry Boutsen, new boy in Formula One, taking over for Ivan Capelli, who was dropped by the Jordan team after crashing out of the race in South Africa and failing to qualify at Brazil.
So Damon Hill, we see he is still on slicks. Senna is still on slicks. Barrichello came in. He lost one position. Now he's down to fourth. We can see it here. Alesi, the best position he's had all weekend, being in third. And then Prost, who took the gamble, and Johnny Herbert, who's still on slicks in the Lotus.
That 32-minute figure for Senna is the total time elapsed in the race. Everything else was the gap back from the leader. It is Senna, Hill, Alesi, Barrichello, Prost moving up quickly, Johnny Herbert in the Lotus, Ricardo Patrese, Felipe Ayo. Now Damon Hill is in for his set of slicks. The only other car unlapped at this point is Fabrizio Barbazza in the Minardi Ford. James Allen is down in the Williams pit.
Yeah, and I wish it was up there with you, Bob, because it's actually raining really hard now. Damon Hill comes in, they take the slicks off, and the groove tires go back on again. The car's rocking on the jacks. Slight delay there. Hill's back in the race.
So we've gone from wet to dry, back to wet. And Damon Hill pulls back onto the racetrack. We're told that this is pretty typical weather for this part of England at this time of year, or perhaps any time of year. There is Ayrton Senna.
We're watching really for Prost. You can see the rain on the lens of the cameras here. The cameramen are even having difficulty keeping the camera lenses clear. There is so much rain falling. But Senna obviously doesn't think there's enough rain falling on the racetrack yet to actually make a pit stop. But if everybody else has done it for sure, Senna will be in soon also.
Now, in past years, if the rain got heavy enough, officials would stop the race. They'd red flag it, bring everybody in to change and go back out again. They did that at the French Grand Prix at Manicourt a year ago. There's Ricardo Patrese in the Benetton pit getting grooves. But now they will no longer do that, they say. They will slow the field if necessary to allow everyone to come in. But when you come in is totally up to you. Senna goes around Patrese.
You can see how difficult the pit exit is here. It's right on the braking line on the turn-in point for that first corner at Redgate. But you saw Patrese, looked in his mirror, saw Senna, and pulled way over. Now here's Patrese on wets. Senna is on slicks. This is another way Senna can measure whether it's time to go in or to stay out. Because if he pulls away from Patrese, he's happy to stay on those slicks.
Well, by staying out, Senna has managed to put a lap on Patrese, who now drops probably out of the top 10. Eric Comas and Ayrton Senna. You notice it says McLaren on the side of the car. Tobacco advertising is not allowed here in Britain, nor in France or Germany. Races you'll see later on this year here on ESPN. The familiar dromedary on the Camel cigarette-sponsored cars. There's also Barclays cigarettes, Jetan from France. No tobacco advertising on the cars or at the racetracks at all. It becomes a bit of a game to see how you can get your logo across without using the actual name of the brand.
You see the top six again. Barrichello now has moved up to third because of the extra pit stop. So George was still having a great day with that new car. It's basically last year's chassis. They've redesigned the front because of the regulations. A new front wing design. They carry the front wing now instead of that familiar mustache nose they had last year. But Barrichello having a superb day so far.
That's Alain Prost coming up behind to drop Barrichello into fourth place if he can.
This is a battle for position here. Can you imagine Barrichello, 20 years of age? He's hardly been in single-seater racing more than 3 or 4 years, and he's battling with 3 times world champion Alain Prost for a position on the racetrack. What a great story.
He is only 5 seasons out of racing karts. Fewer than 60 or fewer than 65 races, a little over 60 now, in any form of 4-wheel racing car.
Definitely a star of the future. Does not have the car that Prost has. Look how easily Prost gets down the inside and gets on the power, gets his power to the road, and is able to drive by Barrichello with that Renault V10 horsepower. But a great day nonetheless for Barrichello.
And if you're wondering if he used money to make his way into Formula One, you should know that in the 4 seasons since he got out of karts, he won a championship in the GM Lotus Euro Series, a championship in Formula 3, and then finished 3rd in International Formula 3000. He is very consistent and very quick.
A lot of dirt on the side of that McLaren. Senna has been off the road somewhere, but he decides to stay on the racetrack here. Again, he passes the pits. An unusual gamble here from Senna, but he is usually the man who knows exactly what the track conditions are like.
Well, he's certainly hoping for dry conditions in the near future. Ayrton Senna leads now by 21.177 seconds. The umbrellas are still out here at Donington.
Honda V4 Magna. Nothing's meaner.
Available at Casey Cycle City, J. Clyde Morris Boulevard, Newport News.
Weeknights turn to CNBC. From abortion to the AIDS epidemic, from politics to police brutality. These are the issues and problems that we face each day. Award-winning Phil Donahue and international journalist Vladimir Posner explore the issues and topics that affect you. It's the first talk show that listens to you.
Hello, Newport News. Watch Posner Donahue on Newport News Cable Vision, Channel 28.
Posner Donahue, a place to call in and be heard. Weeknights only on CNBC.
Sports in April on ESPN.
Bouncing tip, score!
All in April on ESPN.
Back live at Donington Park, there is race leader Ayrton Senna leaving the pits after yet another blistering pit stop from the McLaren team. 6.4 seconds to get him off of reins and back on slicks. Other way around, off of slicks and back on reins.
And here's the man we wanted to see, where he was, because that's the only man Senna is interested in. He had over 30 seconds of a lead on Prost, who was running 5th at the time. He's now 3rd, but he had over 30 seconds, so he got into the pits. You saw, well, you didn't see, but he had a great pit stop, got back out, and still leads.
Prost got around Barrichello. Now he's got traffic ahead of him. That's Derek Warwick in the new FA14 Footwork Mugen Honda. A really interesting car, and it looks like the kind of thing that may help Footwork take that next step. Whoop, there's Andre de Cesaris in the Tyrrell. And there is one of the LaRousse. That's Philippe Ayot.
There was contact there, as there is when you try and outbrake somebody. It is Philippe Ayot, extremely fast, did a good job in qualifying, and I believe he has stalled his engine again. Otherwise, he'd be well gone out of there by now. Yellow flags. You see the yellow flags being waved by the track marshals here. Prost manages to get down inside Warwick. Traffic jam. Look at Ayot where he is. They will have to. Well, maybe the track marshals can move that away, but what a dangerous situation that is. Look at Prost now held up behind. That is Alesi. Alesi now he's behind.
The white car and the yellow helmet is Christian Fittipaldi. Got his hands full there. He may still be on slicks.
Well, there's no gamble now. When all the front runners, here it is here. De Cesaris goes into the back of Philippe Ayot. They both jump on the brakes. Oh, flames out of De Cesaris, but he keeps his car running. Ayot, unfortunately, didn't manage to keep his. Look at this again. Ayot, an innocent victim here. Nothing De Cesaris could do except run into the back of him. Nothing Ayot do except drop the clutch as quickly as he could, but he didn't do it quick enough. Stall the engine. His day is now over.
Ayot somehow got moved. I wonder if he kept the engine lit and then somehow when he dropped the clutch managed to stall it again. At any rate, it appears that he is done. Alain Prost is now halfway around the racetrack. Through the old hairpin.
Quick glimpse of the Ferrari. We're half a lap, and look how much he's pulled out on the Ferrari of Alesi already. And Alesi is probably regarded as being one of the top 5 or 6 drivers in the world at the moment. And that just shows you how superior this Williams car is.
Through McLean's, through Coppice, down underneath the bridge, Starkey's Bridge. Used to look quite different. Through the S's.
Now the chase really starts. It's beginning to, well, it doesn't really start. Again, Prost, remember, he doesn't like the rain. He took the gamble to be one of the first on the rain tires, but it really has fallen into Senna's hands again because he knows Prost doesn't like the rain.
These are the house cars for this race, if you will. The race is sponsored by electronic game maker Sega. You see that cartoon of the driver's legs just underneath the front wheel. The rumor has it that the Sega Corporation wanted to go to another team. In fact, I think it was McLaren, but that they objected to that cartoon advertising on the car. Williams said, we'll be glad to take it. There is Jean Alesi back in the pits. Here's James Allen.
Gunning the engine, Jean Alesi. They've got a big problem with the left front wheel. Alesi's still gunning the engine. The wheel just will not come off. Alesi really lights it up as he leads the pits, and he's back in the race, but a lot of time less there for the Ferrari team.
Odd crackle from that engine as he gunned it.
Yeah, and did you hear the screams as he was on the jack there? That is how anxious a driver gets. He just revs just below the rev limiter, obviously. But remember, the V12 revs to over 13,000 revs. He was almost at that as he sat in the pit lane there.
There's Ayrton Senna.
See what he did? Drove offline onto the wet part. That's to cool those tires down to make the wets last just as long as possible. He is one of the masters at preserving his tires, and he will also know that Prost has been on the track a lot longer on his wets, so again, he hopes that again it falls into his lap.
One final note to my story about the Sega sponsorship that went to the Williams team. On the side of Ayrton Senna's McLaren right there, you may be able to pick out a small black cartoon character with a tire mark across it, like a fighter pilot would chalk up a victory on the side of his cockpit. The McLaren team is putting little Sonic the Hedgehog, the Sega symbol, on the side of their car with McLaren tire tracks across it.
We think it's a good humor gesture. We think it is. There was millions of dollars at stake because both were trying to get the sponsorship. But we just think it's a good humor gesture.
I think it's pretty good humor. Here goes Christian Fittipaldi, Derek Warwick, and here comes Damon Hill.
This is the Craner curves. You see the elevation drops way, way down. Virtually impossible to pass here unless somebody moves over to let you go by. Now, Barrichello is right behind Damon Hill. That is a fight for position. I mean, Barrichello, I wouldn't put it past him to make an attempt to pass Damon Hill. This is where Michael Andretti went off earlier on. You can see it's just a break, a quick flick, fourth gear right-hander.
Very quick corners around here as you watch Damon Hill make his way around. Now there's Aguri Suzuki in the new footwork.
He's been off the road many times here during practice and qualifying. We saw him off earlier, and now he seems to be making his way very slowly along the grass as we catch again a glimpse of Barrichello making an attack on Damon Hill. There's the top six. Then they move back to the next six. Zanardi, you see, is in 12th place, long way out of the points-paying position, which he got in Brazil. Barbazza is 7th for the Minardi, and of course the only Benetton in it is Patrese, because we saw Schumacher bury himself in the gravel earlier on.
Senna, Prost, Hill, Barrichello, Alesi, and Herbert in the points-paying positions as you watch traffic on the front straightaway. Alain Prost.
Look at Barrichello. He made the move and made the pass on Damon Hill. So the young bravery of Barrichello, 20 years old, pulls it off and gets by Damon Hill.
Odd to see a Williams being passed by anybody on the racetrack. That's Christian Fittipaldi just ahead of Damon Hill.
Damon is conservative. He will not take chances. He knows how valuable this drive is. He knows how little experience he has. But remember, the only other man probably here that has less experience is Barrichello, the man who just passed him.
We'll take a pause in the action and be back in just a moment. We won't let you miss anything. It is Senna, Prost, Hill, Barrichello, Alesi, Herbert. I'll make that Barrichello and Hill. And we'll be back for more live in a moment.
Budweiser, king of beers.
We started a revolution in the streets. And now it's hitting the water. Introducing the Yamaha Wave Blaster. Essentially, it's the world's most radically advanced bike. Now available on the water.
If this is how you think of Volvos, we may have the car to change your thinking. The Volvo 850 GLT. Road and track on the 850 GLT. This is not your Uncle Olaf's Volvo.
It's America's Game of the Week. The Reds face the Cardinals tonight.
Catch all the ball on ESPN.
Ayrton Senna, problems at the right rear. His third pit stop of this Grand Prix of Donington. James Allen is in the pit.
Yeah, it looks like Senna had a problem with his right rear tyre there. It looked to lost an awful lot of time, and it looks as though Prost may have got by him on the road. In the meantime, the Williams pit is getting ready, and in comes Damon Hill.
James, could you tell whether it was a problem with the wheel or a problem with the air hammer?
No, it was a problem with the wheel nut. It wouldn't come off. It was stuck after they put the new slick tyre on. Damon Hill had a relatively quick stop, however, and it stopped raining again. It's a real lottery, this weather conditions. They've come and they've go. There's been rain and it's been dry. It's a very strange day.
All right, thank you, James. There goes Alain Prost. Just before we came back from commercial, he too made a pit stop. He is back out on slicks. as the conditions change by the lap here at Donington Park.
Okay, now the complexion has totally changed because Prost, you're right, did make a very, very good stop. He's on slicks. He was the first man. There he is. We just saw Senna at the top of the picture, and now the race is really on because Senna is better than Prost in these iffy, difficult conditions. So the fight starts from now. We're 35 laps into the race.
Alain Prost goes by Riccardo Patrese in the car Patrese used to drive. There is Ayrton Senna. Let's take a moment and show you Alain Prost's pit stop. As Derek mentioned earlier, the Williams team is not famous for great pit stops, but they nailed this one.
This was one of their best. It stops, slicks on, and he goes. You can win races in the pit lane. That may have been a critical move, but never underestimate Senna's ability when the track is in a wet, dry, iffy situation like it is right now.
And it's beginning to look dark again on the horizon. More rain planned. The weather forecasters here in the Midlands of England said it would rain on and off all day long, and they are not wrong. From our helicopter, you can see there's solid mist that's been around all day. The wind has died down.
Earlier now, Senna was one of the gamblers. When Prost came in, Senna was happy to stay out. He was happy to run his own race to his own plan. The interesting thing about this time is something else is happening and figuring in his thought configuration, because the very time that Prost stopped, Senna came right in immediately.
Now this is Jean Alesi's fourth pit stop, and you can see from his reaction.
He was running as high as second earlier on, which is the best run Ferrari have had this year. But this is a disaster when you sit in the pit lane as long as that. It was a problem on the left rear.
Alain Prost taking his time getting around. Alain Prost, as Derek mentioned earlier, is very persnickety when it comes to wet weather, and he's voiced his concerns about the safety of the Donington Park circuit. We asked him about it. Here's what he told us.
Because what I've said, it's not only about the racetrack, it's also the fact that when FISA decide to go on a new racetrack, they never ask any driver talk about, for example, the safety. I criticize the track about the safety point of view, and I still think that one place, especially downhill, when cars going very fast, it's very dangerous. Part of that, it's also narrow, but to be honest, it's a bit better than I thought. And especially when it's wet, at least the surface is not too bad and the grip is not bad, and we don't have too much aquaplaning, but it's still a dangerous racetrack.
Of course, one of the reasons Alain Prost remembers the track of old, he raced Formula 3 here back in the 70s, and the track has been considerably updated and made a lot safer since then. Hence, his more positive outlook on the track when he came back to race in the Grand Prix here.
His particular concern was the lack of gravel traps. Prost knows, as any racing driver or any fan does, that when cars get out of control and onto grass, they do not slow down, and that was his concern, was getting the cars woed up in the event they went off the racetrack.
Well, for my money, Barrichello in the Jordan car is the star of the show here, because he is still hanging on to that hard-fought for a third position. Can you imagine if he finishes on the rostrum ahead of a Williams car? But a great day for Eddie Jordan, his team, Sasol, and particularly the Hart V10 engine. What a learning curve Brian Hart is going through, as well as Rubens Barrichello here.
To be on a Formula One Grand Prix podium at age 20 would be quite an achievement. Keeps Damon Hill in that Williams behind him. Damon is perhaps the most experienced driver in that Williams car, which is hands down the most superior weapon in Grand Prix racing, yet he can't seem to deal with Barrichello.
And you can see he's still on slicks. Barrichello is on slicks. Look at the pavement right ahead of them. That line is not wet. It is not very wet. So it really, if it has stopped raining, and it's difficult for us to see. Well, in fact, if you look at the camera lens, in fact, it's not raining.
Up the hill they come through McLean's.
So they actually played the gamble well. The rain has stopped. Prost and Senna are out on slick, are out on wet weather tires. What a gamble, what a lottery this can turn out to be.
Damon Hill used to race motorcycles around this track. In fact, I talked with him this weekend. He mentioned that he went to college, but he only went there to pick up his scholarship check so that he could go race his motorcycle. Alain Prost is in the pits. Fourth pit stop for Prost.
We just watched Damon Hill get in trouble there under braking on the slick tires. Prost already made the decision. Another good stop. What a lot of practice they have this afternoon. But now Senna will probably be forced to make the same decision, and he may have to come in. Are they wet?
They are. They're groove tires. You heard as Alain Prost left, the engine note, just constant. Brrrr, and he had his right foot right on the floor, allowing the computers and the traction control to get him underway safely. Senna's still on slicks. By now he will have been told that his opposition has gone back to grooved rain tires. No doubt the question he will ask in return is, where is it raining? Now we're told from the pits, Ruben Barrichello has come in and gone back out on wet weather tires.
Well, this is a lottery. It's a gamble. You just don't know when you deal with Mother Nature what is going to happen. You can make a decision and suddenly it all changes literally minutes later. Quick on board with Senna. You saw him on slicks, and you see the Williams here on dry or wet weather tires. We're getting mixed up. There's so many switches here. Remember, this is the BBC in England that is giving us this feed. This is the world feed, as all Formula One races is now anyway.
Through the S's, the zero of Damon Hill, and you can tell by that camera lens just how wet it's getting here in Donington.
I don't know who's on what tire.
There is Ayrton Senna. It looks a little bit dry out there. Of the 25 cars that started the race, we have 15 still in circulation. There's the gap from Senna to Prost, 16.649. The running order right now is Prost, Senna, Barrichello, Hill, Herbert, Patrese, Warwick, Fittipaldi, Barbazza, Zanardi, Terry Boutsen, Jean Alesi, Andre De Cesaris, Eric Comas, and Michele Alboreto. 5 cars on the lead lap. The next 6 cars are 1 lap down. The next 2 are each 2 laps down, and Comas and Alboreto 3 laps down. Ayrton Senna, the Rainmeister, continues to work those slick tires for all they're worth. We'll keep an eye and see if he comes in. If he does, we'll show it to you.
If this is how you think of Volvos, we may have the car to change your thinking. The Volvo 850 GLT. Driving a Volvo usually inspires a certain sense of safety. Well, now we offer an additional sensation. The Volvo 850 GLT.
The laboratories of 2001 announce a major breakthrough in auto protectant technology. Formula 2001 Super Protectant. Its advanced sun-stop formula helps protect against damage caused by the sun's UV rays, like fading, drying, and cracking. What's more, independent lab tests prove Formula 2001 shines better and protects longer than Armor All on vinyl and leather. But what if your car's surfaces are already faded? We went to the Arizona desert to see if Formula 2001 Super Protectant could help restore the appearance of these UV faded vehicles. Watch what happens to UV faded vinyl, rubber, even dried faded leather. Get the best protectant under the sun, the one that shines better and protects longer than Armor All. Formula 2001 Super Protectant with a fresh leather fragrance. And for the unique demands of tire care, get new Formula 2001 Tire Foam and Shine. Just spray and walk away. Get 2001 at these fine stores.
This week marks the 25th anniversary of the death of one of England's greatest racing heroes, Jimmy Clark of Scotland. Shown here racing at Oulton Park. This is what world-class road racing used to look like. Of course, Clark so closely associated with the late Colin Chapman and the Lotus team. An Indy 500 winner and a 2-time world champion, Jimmy Clark, still fondly remembered here in the Midlands of England. There is Jimmy Clark's Lotus in the Donington Racing Car Museum, the greatest in the world. More than 130 cars. There you see the air quality here over Donington Park. There is the landing strip at the East Midlands Airport, virtually just outside the gates of this racetrack. Here's Damon Hill in for his 4th pit stop by my unofficial reckoning. Wet weather tires will go on. Another sub-7-second pit stop. Terrific effort.
And he had just taken away that 3rd place from Barrichello before he made that pit stop. So Barrichello, who is now still on slicks, now will be forced to stop for wets, even if he hasn't made the decision himself, because obviously the cars he's racing with have all changed tires. So back on board with Damon Hill. You can see the track doesn't look too bad, but you can see the drops on the camera lens, even though it changes every now and then. It is raining on the racetrack at the moment.
Let's listen to the engine note if we can keep. Now we can't keep the picture. All kinds of problems with our onboards today due to the weather. There's Ayrton Senna streaming that moisture in the contrails off the rear wing.
You mentioned earlier we are in the flight path for landing aircraft here along the front straight at Donington. One of the problems they have found is that the airplanes land and take off so often, particularly on takeoff, there is avgas, airline fuel, comes out of the airplanes, drops on the racetrack, which makes it extremely slippery then when you do get any amount of rain at all. So that's another one of the difficulties they have to cope with here.
Terry Boutsen steps aside and allows Ayrton Senna through. Boutsen running in 10th place right now, 1 lap down, make that 2 laps down now.
Boutsen, of course, was in Phoenix, Arizona at the IndyCar race last week looking for a drive and didn't know he'd be back in Grand Prix racing until Monday when he got back home again and got the call from Jordan. The biggest problem he's had is he physically does not fit in this car. He is too big, too tall to actually be comfortable and be able to drive this car at 100% of his ability. Jordan Grand Prix will change the monocoque of that car for Boutsen, but of course, like everything else, it takes a little bit of time just to get all the final details worked out.
Now we're on board with Ayrton Senna. Let's listen to the engine note, this V8 Ford. Well, it was a good idea while I had it. Still sliding around on slicks. There is the team manager, Ron Dennis. 10 years McLaren International has functioned under Ron Dennis. In that amount of time, they have won 71 race victories, including their 100th in Brazil at the hands of Ayrton Senna. They are the 2nd winningest team of all time by just 3 to Ferrari. They've also won 6 constructors and 7 drivers' titles.
There's no doubt Ron Dennis is a master of management in racing. He was a mechanic at Brabham in the early days, left school at 19 and went on to basically set the standards for a lot of racing teams and mechanics and how they went about their business. Very few people would ever criticize the way Ron Dennis goes about his business.
There's Ruben Barrichello, now back in 3rd position. Despite the weather and a crowd that is less than as big as it could have been, we do have some famous people on hand. There is Princess Diana, of course.
Nice and warm and cozy inside the glass in one of the suites here at Donington that overlook the back straight, or the back loop at the Melbourne Loop, and of course along the front straight along the pits here.
An esteemed guest, or perhaps a steamy guest, depending on what magazines you read.
Or maybe both.
Derek Warwick in the new footwork, and then Ruben Barrichello. I can't get over it. 20 years old. He can count all the races he's driven in racing cars, and yet here he is in a Formula One race and has a shot at a podium finish.
Probably one of the more impressive things about Ruben Barrichello, apart from his age and his lack of experience, is he doesn't make mistakes. He is not known for flying off the road in critical situations, and there is no more pressure-packed or pressure-filled situation for a racing driver when you're 20 years of age than to be running in a possible rostrum finishing position. But Barrichello has been very, very good so far. Now, we don't want to put a curse on him, but he does not make very many mistakes in a racing car.
Man young enough to perhaps challenge the record for youngest Formula One winner, Bruce McLaren, who won the Grand Prix of the United States when it was held in Sebring, Florida.
Here's Senna about to put a lap onto Johnny Herbert. Oh, Herbert just sees him at the last minute and moves aside. Just gave him enough room, but Johnny Herbert running in 5th place.
I wonder if he saw the gesture from Senna.
Remember, they're old Formula 3 sparring partners here. No, in fact, they're not. Senna was out of Formula 3 by then. It was Brundle that was his old Formula 3 sparring partner. In fact, Brundle made a statement. We haven't seen him much. But Brundle made a statement after practice that he always had the measure of Senna around here in a Formula 3 car, and he hoped that that was going to pass on to his Formula 1 days. Unfortunately, the Ligier was nowhere near as competitive as he needed it to be here this weekend.
Senna, as I mentioned, working under a one-race contract, so it's always a question whether he's going to show up at the next race. But I would imagine if he pulls off a victory here, it's going to be tough for him not to return for the next race. Down to the pits and James Allen.
I'm down here with Michael Schumacher. Bob, Michael, you spun off at the first corner. What happened?
I went really late on braking, shifted down as well, and I got a bit locking in the rear wheels, and I just lost the car.
Well, it's a real lottery today. The conditions are changing from wet to dry tyres. What would it take to win the race today? What sort of strategy do you think would take to win?
A lot of luck.
A lot of luck. But obviously, the wet tyres, the visibility very bad out there.
The problem is, if you would have stayed out with the red tyres, they would be too bad to continue the race. You would have had anyway another tyre change. So you had to come into dry tyres, but it was really difficult to judge to come into wet again. Obviously, I judged it a bit in the wrong direction, and I pushed a bit too hard, but I think that's experience, and I will learn from this.
Thanks very much, Michael.
Pretty forthright comments from the young megastar of Formula One, Michael Schumacher, who won last year at Spa and is sure to win again. Stay with us for more from Donington.
I was right behind him when he started to spin. I know the feeling, know where to go, right?
Two champions sharing a winning formula. Haviland Formula 3.
Very unpleasant on an oval, I'd think.
Some people just can't get it right.
Even at Indy?
Oh, especially at Indy.
Complete professionals who rely on the same complete protection you can buy right off the shelf. Haviland Formula 3 motor oil from Texaco.
Perhaps I should follow you then.
Not a bad idea, Nigel.
No matter what you drive, we've got you covered from H to Z.
America's first choice. Napa Auto Parts.
Welcome to Napa, America's most complete source for quality auto parts and accessories. And now get hot spring buys at Napa. Quality Napa motor oil, just 99 cents a quart. Get 2 Napa Silverline oil filters, just $4. STP oil treatment is free after double mail-in rebate. And don't miss this special value. Napa's 5-piece cooler combo, just $19.99. Save big on hot spring buys now at Napa, America's first choice.
You're on board with Alain Prost running second in the Grand Prix of Europe, 25.2 seconds down to race leader Ayrton Senna with 46 laps complete of 76 scheduled. Now let's take a look at our Suzuki Motorcycles mid-race recap. The leader, Ayrton Senna, has led since lap 42. 4 lead changes among 2 drivers, those being Alain Prost and Ayrton Senna. At least 4 pit stops for car thus far, an incredible number by Formula One standards, and that because of the changing weather conditions, back and forth from wet tires to dry. Good thing we're only about 40 miles from Goodyear's European headquarters in Wolverhampton, England, because we've been going through donuts like crazy here today.
Senna is in the driving seat right now. He is now 27 seconds ahead of Prost. He's on slicks. He took the gamble. He's pulling away. He is going to force Prost's hand and force Prost to go back to the pit lane for another change of tires back onto slicks if it doesn't rain immediately.
Now, those of you who are up to date on your Formula One regulations, as Alain Prost comes in, may be wondering if the 7 sets of tire rule applies to wets. It does not. You have an unlimited number of wet weather tires at your disposal. Here's James Allen.
Alain Prost into the pits. This must be at least his 5th stop. The wet tires are coming off and the slicks are going on because it's stopped raining down here in the pits. A real up and down day for weather. He stalled the car. Alain Prost has stalled the Williams Renault. Mechanics swarming all over it. The battery's been pushed into the side. They're trying to figure out exactly what's wrong with it. There's a mechanic furiously working at the back. He's got his arm stuffed underneath the rear bodywork. Not quite sure what he's doing. I think it might be stuck in gear. It is stuck in gear. And of course, with this automatic gearbox, it's very difficult to get it out of gear. Obviously, Prost not able to do that himself. There's a guy sticking his arm in there. He's still trying to get it out of gear. It looks like they've done that. They're going to stick the starter in, and Prost will be back in this race, but he will have lost a lot of time.
And I wouldn't want to be standing anywhere near him when he gets that thing back in gear, because Alain Prost is going to come screaming out of the pits.
We just saw Damon Hill go by. There is Senna go by. So Senna is leading, and now he is one lap ahead of Alain Prost. He's about to put a lap on Damon Hill, but the story again is Barrichello, I believe, is now possibly in a second-place position.
The youngest man to win a Formula One race, Bruce McLaren, did it at 22 years and change. Ruben Barrichello might be the next man into that column of the record book.
When you race in the rain, you have to have good fortune. Well, good fortune can mean you have a car that's good enough to run third, but you can still win if the good fortune goes your side and mechanical problems or an accident happens to the two guys ahead of you. Senna doesn't make many mistakes either, though, so it'll probably be mechanical failure if he hopes that Senna doesn't finish ahead of him.
A tremendous tactical struggle as well as a great race here at Donington. We saw Princess Diana earlier. A great number of former world champions are here. We've seen John Surtees, Jackie Stewart is here. King Hussein of Jordan is looking on. It's King Bob of Georgia. Everybody knows that. Alain Prost still wrestling with the conditions.
Delicate maneuver on your outlap, and Prost knows that. He's very careful. Even though these tires do get up to a good working temperature in the warmer blankets, it still takes a lap or two to get at the optimum working temperature and to a situation where you feel comfortable with the car.
3 cars remain on the lead lap: Senna, Barrichello, and Hill. And if Senna gets around Hill, we'll be down to 2. Prost, Herbert, Patrese, Barbaza, and Warwick a lap down. That takes you through 8th place. Fittipaldi, Boutsen 2 laps down. Zanardi and Comas 3 laps down. De Cesaris and Alboreto 4 laps down. 14 cars still in the running. Fast lap set by Ayrton Senna 12 laps ago on lap 37.
Look at Barrichello here. The biggest thing they did in the wintertime, well, they dropped the Yamaha engine. It was not successful. It was not powerful. They actually went out on a limb to do an exclusive contract with Brian Hart to run an engine that he had never had in a racing car. And look how good it is proving. But again, you see Barrichello runs through the water because he's trying to keep those tires cool.
Ayrton Senna around Damon Hill there at the bottom of your screen. He'll be pulling up on Barrichello soon. It is Senna and Barrichello on the lead lap. Talk about youth and exuberance against age and experience. We won't let anything happen without you. And we'll be back for more live coverage from Donington Park in just a moment.
The Suzuki Katana 600, easily identified flying object.
Don't wait. Get the News Weekly of Motoring, Auto Week. Don't wait for driving impressions. Auto Week drives them all and tells you about them first. Don't wait for car news. Auto Week covers the world. Auto shows, the new, the old, and brings it to you fast. Don't wait for racing news. Get the News Weekly of Motoring. Auto Week brings you the winningest coverage first. Don't wait. Get Auto Week, the News Weekly of Motoring, now. Call 1-800-828-4100 for a full year. 52 issues at the special TV price of $19.95. Just 38 cents an issue. Save $80 off the cover price. You've thought about it. Stop waiting. Do it now. Call 1-800-828-4100 for the News Weekly of Motoring.
ESPN, top-ranked boxing. IBF super middleweight champion James Lights Out Tony Considered one of the best fighters in America, he puts his undefeated record to the test yet again as he faces Ricky Thomas, Top Rank Boxing. Saturday night at 9 Eastern, live on ESPN.
How far will your money go when buying a Katana 600? Introducing Suzuki Get On It Flexible Financing. Want to see it again? Other programs include zero down, low monthly payments, and first-time buyer. Get on it.
Working his management magic from the pit lane, Ron Dennis, managing director of McLaren International. Somewhere out on the racetrack, his Ayrton Senna right there leads the Grand Prix of Europe by 1 full lap. I believe Senna is the only car on the... No, there's Rubens Barrichello right there. Senna is not the only car on the lead lap. We wondered if Barrichello had stopped because he didn't show up on our timing monitor for a moment, but there he is, still on wet weather tires. The only other car on the lead lap. Senna will be approaching him shortly.
Well, the Jordan people better get their heartbeats going, get the adrenaline up, because he will be forced to make a pit stop. These wet weather tires do not last long when it's this dry, so he will be forced into the pits, and then we'll have to see how far Prost is behind him. At the moment, Prost is a lap down, so Barrichello can get in, get slicks, get out, and keep that second place. What a run for him. Look.
Ricardo Patrese is in the pits. Let's get down to James Allen to learn more about Barrichello's situation.
Well, Bob, it's a real lottery down here, as you can imagine. I just spoke to Eddie Jordan very briefly. He is indeed running on wet tyres, Ruben Barrichello, but it hasn't rained for a little while, and they're very concerned that his tyres, as Derek suggested, are getting very hot. However, there is a very large black storm cloud approaching us from the east, and it's a real gamble as to which way to go. There's only 23 laps left, and that's an awful long time on wet tyres if it's not raining.
All right, thank you, James. Damon Hill right there has just gone around teammate Alain Prost for 3rd place.
The confidence is building in Damon Hill. He absolutely blew by Prost, gets down the inside almost on a difficult line. We see him stand on the brakes there, but now he has the bit between his teeth. But Barrichello is a long way up the road. He's going to need help if he's going to catch Barrichello. Oh, little correction there from the in-car. Great coverage here, but Damon Hill now beginning to give it a run. We're 52 laps into the race. And Damon Hill passes 3 times world champion.
Alain Prost is now in the pits. He's got slick tires. We'll see whether he goes to the wets. No, he will stay on those preheated Goodyear slicks.
Well, Prost must have had a problem. There's no way he would stop just for the sake of changing slick tires. He must have had a problem. He did not like those tires. Perhaps a puncture. I don't know. Whatever it was, it has cost him dearly again. But look how well Senna runs. Now remember, he did not make that last stop for wets when the other leaders did, particularly Hill and Prost. Here's the pass here. This is into Coppice Corner, into McLean's. Easily gets down the inside. Prost makes plenty of room for him. Makes the pass easily, and Damon Hill has the bit between his teeth now.
James Allen called it a lottery, and that's exactly what it has been. And the man who has played it perfectly is Ayrton Senna. He has made half the pit stops of everyone else, stayed out there on his slick tires, and thus far it has paid off. But we have 53 laps down. We have 23 laps still to run, and as James mentioned, there is more dark cloud on the horizon.
Hill at the moment is not shown on the same lap as Barrichello. However, he's not that far behind him. He's actually only 14 seconds behind Barrichello, so if he has any trouble at all...
This is down through the Craner curves. That's Barrichello. He's got mirrors full of race leader Ayrton Senna right now. Craner curves named for Fred Craner, who brought the German Mercedes and Auto Union teams here to Donington Park back in the 1930s.
So Damon Hill is the one that's going to watch the battle from here on in. He will know that Barrichello is still on wets. Barrichello surely will move over. Look at this here. Barrichello holds the racing line, forces Senna, forces him down the inside to the wet part. I don't know whether that was a wave. It almost looked like a wave, didn't it?
I think it was. I think Barrichello used up the racetrack, put his opponent on the wet, the same thing Senna would do, but you notice when the corner was done, he let him by.
He did let him by. Remember, Brazilian, so they probably look after their own here.
Now Barrichello will pit. James Allen will await the spectacular 20-year-old Brazilian driver as his countryman Ayrton Senna flies across the start-finish line. James?
Okay, Rubens Barrichello comes in. I saw Eddie Jordan and Gary Anderson, the designer, signal to the mechanics to take it nice and easy. No mistakes on this stop. It's too important to lose any time. A beautiful, smooth stop from the Jordan team, and Rubens Barrichello is safely back out on the track and hopefully on his way to his first podium finish.
Excellent pit stop for the Jordan team, one of the youngest in Formula One, based at Silverstone, and look who has reset fast lap. Damon Hill.
Well, that was a great stop by Jordan. They will be delighted with that. The race now, though, is between Hill and Barrichello. We can't see exactly where Hill is now. Oh, here he is. He got by. He got by. Damon Hill took second place. He's up into Coppice Corner now, so secure. However, Barrichello is still on the rostrum.
And the best finish for the Jordan team was a 4th place back in 1991. Barrichello could improve on that today. A few of the folks have put their brawlies away. We'll be back live to Donington.
Well, we're almost there. Yeah, 3 years of digging and digging. But soon, our first taste of freedom. Here we are. Push.
What'll it be, boys?
2 Bud Lights, please.
Sorry, fellas, but we're all out.
If you want great taste that won't fill you up and never let you down, make it a Bud Light.
You know, Larry, we really should carry more Bud Light.
It works, Simple Green, it works. Really gets down and works, yeah, yeah. It works. Simple Green All-Purpose Cleaner is powerful and economical. Because it's a concentrate, use it full strength on tough jobs or add water to replace almost any cleaner you're using now. Tough cleaning without taking you to the cleaners. Simple Green keeps your world clean. Yeah, yeah, it works. Simple Green is strong yet safe because it's non-toxic, non-abrasive, even biodegradable, which means while Simple Green is tough on dirt, grease, and grime, it's easy on the environment. Who needs hazardous cleaners when there's a safe solution? Whoa, whoa, it works. Simple Green, it works. Really gets down and works. Yeah, yeah, it works. Simple Green keeps your world clean.
A season full of close calls and terrifying crashes comes to an end. Bernard Knaus fights to capture his 3rd straight title at the U.S. Pro Ski Championship. Today on ESPN.
There is the pit board in the pit of Ayrton Senna, P1, first place. Behind him, Hill and Barrichello at the time differences just mentioned. But something bizarre just happened to Senna. Let's go to the videotape. Senna came into the pits and watch what happens.
Remember, he's on slicks, so we presume he wants a tire change. He waves to his McLaren people who were ready. You can see them. And away he goes again.
I'm not sure they were so ready. I thought I saw the guy come by and wave him out, and people were still peeling those electronic warmers off the tires. I think the pit wasn't ready.
Well, he didn't stop the next lap around, so that is an unusual situation, particularly for a Ron Dennis, Ron McLaren operation.
Now let's see if we can find out more about that little contretemps from James Allen. James?
Yeah, it was very strange when Senna came through. Just as he came down the pit lane, the first spots of rain happened again. And what's happened this afternoon is once it started to rain, it's come for a burst of rain, and then that's gone away again and it's been dry. That's what's made it such a lottery. And I think what happened was that Senna came in just as the rain started to fall, and he saw the first spots falling and thought, no, I really don't want to do this at all.
Well, then it would be the driver's discretion. Now you're on board with Ayrton Senna going around a slower car. Onto the front straightaway. Obviously has not pitted again. A glance over at his pit. Senna, the only man now on the lead lap. Damon Hill is in second place, a minute and a half behind. Alain Prost now runs third. Ruben Barrichello has been dropped to fourth place by Prost.
And Barrichello, which was an unusual move, I think. It's another gamble. He went back out on wet weather tires. Everybody that's running at the front and running fast is on slick tires. I'm surprised Barrichello would have taken that gamble because he didn't need to gamble. All he needed was the same tire. And I think he would have been secure in that podium finish, podium position.
There's Derek Warwick in the new footwork. You notice that double plane rear wing. The Jordan team tried one of those this weekend. There goes Alain Prost, the third place car in the race.
Warwick claws his way up to 6th place. What a position that is. Remember what happened in South Africa. He was running 6th. On the last lap, there was a torrential downpour. Warwick flew off the road. He was so disappointed and disgusted with himself. However, in front of his home crowd, a good day for Warwick and the footwork car that are based not too far from here in Milton Keynes.
You notice the high shoulders on that car. The side pods rise up to meet the airbox just behind the driver. Alan Jenkins, the designer, says that because they're using that V10 Mugen Honda engine, it's very fuel thirsty. They need a fuel tank that accommodates 220 liters. And as a result, along with all of the other accoutrements that keep the engine running, they've had to raise up those side pods to give them extra room behind the driver.
One of the problems with the V10 engine, then you go to a V12, it uses even more fuel and it's even bigger and longer. That's why you see Senna here, he has a V8 engine which has got less power, but the package that they can put together around this V8 engine has a lot of advantages. I'll just give you a couple. A V8 uses less fuel, therefore they have to carry less, the car is lighter. But think of this, it takes less to cool a V8, so the radiators are smaller, which is less drag. They're two big performance items in Formula One.
And as I mentioned, aerodynamically styled to create enough aerodynamic downforce that at 100 miles an hour, the car could theoretically drive across the ceiling. There you saw your top 6. We'll be back with more live from wet Donington Park. Stay with us.
Three champions who share a winning formula. Haviland Formula 3 motor oil.
Nice to have you over here in the States.
Thank you.
Come over here running circles with us.
The incredible thing is a different concept on ovals, isn't it?
Some people just can't get it right.
Even at Indy?
Oh, especially at Indy.
Before, he had somewhere to go.
So what have they got there? Some grass and then more concrete?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
No, it's not good.
Perhaps I should follow you then.
Not a bad idea, Nigel.
Very unpleasant on an oval, I'd think.
Just remember, don't turn right too much on them. You'll get in serious trouble.
They're on it all the time.
Complete professionals who rely on the same complete protection you can buy right off the shelf. Haviland Formula 3 from Texaco.
Why do you go anti-clockwise?
You're in a foreign country, boy.
The Suzuki GSXRs. First, they win more road races than any production motorcycle in history. Then, we put a license plate on them. The new liquid-cooled GSXRs, now available in 600, 750, and 1100 octane.
Welcome back live to Donington Park, England, where live coverage continues of the European Grand Prix here on ESPN. We have lots more coming up for you on this Easter Sunday. Tonight, the season premiere of America's baseball game of the week, Sunday Night Baseball. Barry Larkin and the newly acquired Kevin Mitchell power the Reds against Ozzie Smith, he of the backflip, and the St. Louis Cardinals. Exclusive national coverage tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 5 p.m. Pacific, right here on ESPN. Damon Hill flashing down through the Crater curves. Flat out, 6th gear, rocketing left and right. He is in 2nd place behind Ayrton Senna, beginning to close in now with 14 laps remaining in the race.
And this would be a great sight here, except you just mentioned it. He is 1 lap down. He is the fastest man on the racetrack, catching Senna. If he passes him, he has to do it all the way again. He's much faster than Prost right now. In fact, he's pulling away at 2 seconds a lap at times over Alain Prost. We know Prost does not like these iffy conditions. But what a great sight this is. Damon Hill closing in on Senna. What a shame, though, he lost a lap earlier.
We now have official word from the pit lane. It was Ayrton Senna's decision not to make that pit stop. He rocketed right by the pits, back out onto the racetrack.
He's taken the unusual road and taken the gamble right from the drop of the flag here, or the green light. and it has proved to be correct every time he did it. So you cannot argue with what he's doing here. But look at Hill, how good he must feel. His confidence level rose about halfway through this race, because beforehand he was happy to let the whole thing unfold ahead of him. As soon as he passed Prost, boom, attack mode came on, confidence level shot up, and he's a different driver.
He's been wringing his hands all weekend with glee, saying, I want rain on the weekend. I can win this race in the rain. Right now it is Senna over that man, Damon Hill, by a minute 24. 18 seconds back is Alain Prost in third. Another 12 seconds in arrears, Ruben Barrichello. We think we may be planning another pit stop. 15 seconds behind Barrichello is Johnny Herbert in the Lotus. Another minute and 2 back is Derek Warwick in the footwork. Then 16 seconds to Ricardo Patrese. 6 more to Fabrizio Barbaza. Just 1 second behind Barbaza is Christian Fittipaldi. Another minute 20 back is Alessandro Zanardi. A minute and a half to Eric Comas. 11 seconds to Terry Boutsen. And a minute 21 to Michele Alboreto. Andrea De Cesaris also shown on our timing monitors, but 7 laps down, which indicates to me that he is not moving.
So Prost not happy, not prepared to push as hard as Damon Hill is at the moment. In qualifying, in fact, Prost made a statement afterwards that he didn't even push to the maximum in qualifying because he knew he was still 3/10 ahead of Damon Hill, went back out for a second run and decided that he just didn't want to turn it on or turn it up that last little bit. Look at Zanardi in the Lotus car. Zanardi not having a good day. He was in the top 10. Look at the traffic jam about to pass him, but you saw the critical thing was, Christian flies off the road. You got to keep the engine running. You got to keep the engine running here. Is it running? Yes, it is. That is the key. Drop the clutch, keep the engine running while you spin, or else you are over for the day.
Boy, they grow some tough grass here in England. Now, meanwhile, Damon Hill has gotten around Ayrton Senna, so he is back on the same lap with the race leader. Here's how it happened.
Right in front of everybody, down past his pit crew, his mechanics, his team manager. This is under braking into Redgate. He moves offline. Senna knows he's a lap down. He's prepared to let him go. But what a great feeling it must be for Damon Hill in front of his home crowd. His mother, Betty Hill, is here to watch this race too. What a great feeling it is. This is probably a lot better experience for Damon Hill than his second place in Brazil was.
It's beginning to rain again here at Donington. With 13 laps to play, it is not over by any means, and we will be back with more live coverage as the Union Jack still waves.
If you can't wait, you need the News Weekly of Motoring, Auto Week. If you can't wait for driving impressions, get Auto Week. Auto Week drives them all and tells you about them first. If you can't wait for car news, get Auto Week. Auto Week covers it all. The great old cars, the auto shows. Auto Week's columnists are controversial and fast. And if you can't wait for racing news, get the News Weekly of Motoring. Auto Week races to bring you the winningest coverage first. If you can't wait, get Auto Week, the News Weekly of Motoring, now. Call 1-800-828-4100 for a full year. 52 issues at the special TV price of $19.95. Just 38 cents an issue. Save $80 off the cover price. You've thought about it. Stop waiting. Do it now. Call 1-800-828-4100 for the News Weekly of Motoring.
My dream was to have the whistle and the long pants, babe. That's it. I wanted to coach basketball.
Cancer can take away all my physical abilities. It cannot touch my mind, it cannot touch my heart, and it cannot touch my soul.
To join Jim Valvano in the fight against cancer, call 1-800-872-8300. With each donation of $25, you'll receive a Jimmy V Team T-shirt.
Don't give up, Jimmy V.
Don't ever give up.
The rain is beginning to fall again here at Donington, and one of the only men among the front runners still on wets was Ruben Barrichello. Now Ayrton Senna is in the pits. James Allen is not there. He's standing by with Barrichello's team owner, Eddie Jordan. We'll get to that in a moment. Senna will take the wets on, so it really must be coming down out there. I can't believe Senna would stop this late in the going with just 10 laps remaining.
Now Barrichello took the gamble earlier on to stay on wets. Unfortunately, the rain did not come early enough.
Ayrton Senna back on track. Let's get down to James Allen now.
I'm down here with Eddie Jordan. Eddie, you're looking very nervous.
No, I'm not really nervous. I'm more cold than I am nervous. It's not very nice weather. But I don't mind the weather so much while we're going good, and that's the important thing. You know, young Rubens Barrichello's doing a fantastic job, really, for his tender years. In conditions like this, it's quite amazing. Whether he makes it to the end or not is another matter. But at the moment, all's going well, thank you.
Is this a day when strategy counts, or is this just a day of lottery?
Well, I think we've made some very good decisions on the pit wall today, but I'm sure a lot of other teams have as well. But, you know, the driver has to get the car to bring it home, and that's the important thing. And full credit to the driver. It's quite fantastic what he's doing.
Well, good luck, Eddie. Back to you, Bob.
Thank you very much, James. Eddie Jordan with fingers and toes crossed, Derek.
Fingers and toes crossed, and Eddie is always a man to do a deal. In fact, we lived within 5 miles of each other in Dublin as we both went through our crash and burn Formula 4 days. In fact, I bought my first racing car from Eddie Jordan.
If you want to get on Eddie's case a little bit, just go up and remind him that he is older than Ruben Barrichello's father.
Yeah, that really gets him going. He hates that bit.
Through the very narrow final corner here at Donington, race leader Ayrton Senna taking it very gingerly. You see the gap, 1:24.927 seconds back to Damon Hill, who's been rocketing around.
Remember, Senna had a lap on everybody. It's a much safer situation if the rain is beginning to come down. To make a stop, put on wet weather tires. You're in a far safer condition to finish the remaining laps of the race. Barrichello's the only other one in the top 6 on wets. Hill and Prost are still on slicks, and Barrichello is now 15 seconds behind Alain Prost.
A seat for this race cost 120 British pounds. Multiply times 1.6 if you'd like to decide how much of your salary it would take. There aren't 90,000 people here like there's room for, but there are 3 Brits running very well into the top 10. We'll be back.
Sometimes in life, you have to seize the moment. That's what Racer Magazine does for you. Here's the auto racing monthly you've been waiting for. It's about time. Racer is informed, emotional, authoritative, and passionate. With large-scale, full-color graphics, written and photographed by the best. Something worth reading, something worth keeping. There are no long, boring race reports. You already know what happened. Racer tells you how it was done. We want you to have the opportunity to take Racer for a test drive and get a free copy of this 24-page ESPN Motorsports Guide. To order a trial subscription, call toll-free 1-800-553-7400. There's no risk. There's no obligation. If you're not happy with your first issue, just mark cancel on your bill. We don't think you will. Seize the moment. Take Racer for a test drive. Call toll-free 1-800-553-7400.
Live at Donington a moment ago, I told you there were 3 British drivers in the top 10. Actually, they were in the top 6th, and the third of them was this man, Derek Warwick, but the footwork has rolled to a stop.
Total dejection from Derek Warwick. That is 2 races this year, and he has been so close to getting that critical World Championship point, not just for himself, but because it's also for the team. World Championship points has such a lot to do with the amount of travel money and prize money you get. But look at the dejection on Derek Warwick. Damon Hill is in for wet weather tires. Oh, he almost passes his pits. Locks up the front tires.
There's why he's in for wet weather tires. Let's watch the stop. The Williams team has been superb today. He is 7 seconds.
Yes, and he is almost a full lap ahead of his teammate Alain Prost. So again, this is a good safety situation for Damon Hill to come in and put on wets. It's Barrichello and Prost are the 2 interesting people, because Barrichello is now only 12 seconds behind Alain Prost. If Prost makes a pit stop, Barrichello will pounce and get that rostrum position back again.
Let's take another look at Damon Hill's somewhat unorthodox pit entry here.
What's the photographer here? Look, the front brakes are locked. Look at the photographer runs. He didn't even realize that he was in the way of Damon Hill. That caused Damon Hill to take a long way around. There is dejection. There is definite dejection.
Derek Warwick, who sat on pole for the sports car race here a year ago. His teammates won it, Philippe Ayot and Mauro Baldi. But right now, Derek Warwick doesn't want to hear it.
7 laps to go. Senna goes back to the negotiation table, not only for one thing, which is a long-term contract, but also for two things: to try and twist Ford's arm again, to try and get what he believes is a better engine, which is in the Benetton. However, Tom Walkinshaw says he has a watertight contract that he will remain the exclusive factory team for Ford this year.
Ford has not won consecutive Grands Prix since 1990, Japan and Australia, behind the back of former world champion Nelson Piquet, whom we will see back at Indianapolis this year. Time trial shows here on ESPN. We'll hope you'll be watching for that. 13 cars still in the running, make that 12 cars. Terry Boutsen still listed on timing and scoring, but he's out of the race. There is Alain Prost now coming in. James is down there.
Okay, well, not for the first time this afternoon. Alain Prost in the pits. He's putting the wet tyres on. It's raining quite hard now. Really, it's a most strange day. No problem stalling the car this time and safely back out on the track. But the rain coming down quite hard now, but not as hard as it was earlier on.
So Alain Prost comes in for the wet weather tires.
And where is Rubens Barrichello? That is the question now. Did Barrichello manage to make it past Prost while he was in grabbing those wet weather boots?
We'll find out and tell you all about it when we return live to Donington Park, where the huddled masses are trying to get some shelter from the weather. We'll be back.
The Suzuki GSXRs. First, they win more road races than any production motorcycle in history. Then, we put a license plate on them. The new liquid-cooled GSXRs, now available in 600, 750, and 1100 octane.
The time has finally come for the cordless power roller from Wagner. Now you control the flow of paint, so the Wagner power roller can cut jobs in half. Smoothly and evenly, it can cover areas twice as fast. And cleanup is a snap, so you can finish one job and do another. Get your hands on a real value, because the value of Wagner keeps on rolling.
The new Toyo 800 Plus all-season touring radial is Toyo's finest tire, designed for superior driving comfort, a very quiet ride, and long tread life. The Toyo 800 Plus comes with an 80,000-mile warranty. Now, we've got to admit Michelin offers a similar warranty, and so does Bridgestone. 3 superb tires. So, what's the difference? See your nearby Toyo dealer, and he'll explain. Gladly. Toyo tires, driven to perform.
Through a Dewey camera lens, there is race leader Ayrton Senna in the McLaren Ford, leading Damon Hill in a Williams Renault by 1 minute 29.6 seconds. I must have put the hex on the British drivers in this race. No sooner did I say that we had 3 in the top 6 than Derek Warwick dropped out. And moments ago, Johnny Herbert of Great Britain had an interesting moment, Derek.
We almost lost the second one. Herbert was under acceleration, and it just got away from him. You see him on the grass here? Loses it, realizes he's obviously the wrong way here, and lifts the front wheels off the ground and gets it going. Again, luckily he kept the engine running.
That looks like fun. We have 4 laps remaining, 4 more times around this 2.5-mile circuit that has felt the wheels of so many legends. Bernd Rosemeyer, Tazio Nuvolari. Grand Prix bikes, motorbike racing for many years, and now for the first time in 55 years, the Formula One World Championship is here. Ayrton Senna leads over Hill. Barrichello now listed in 3rd place. The Brazilian over Alain Prost, shown 11 seconds down to the Jordan car. Johnny Herbert, despite that little schmozzle, is listed 5th, followed by Fabrizio Barbaza. Oh, and there's Ruben Barrichello. I can't believe it.
Absolute disaster for Jordan and Barrichello. He was running in 3rd place. He took the gamble. He put those wet weather tires on, and it rained. It fell right into his lap. Jordan had the champagne corks just about to pop.
Oh, Barrichello would have been one of the youngest podium finishers in Formula One history, but it won't happen now. His teammate Terry Boutsen is out of the race, suffering from a bad cramp. As Derek mentioned, the car does not fit the tall Boutsen at all. But right now, Ruben Barrichello is just heartsick.
His day will come. Just look at this. Total dejection. You could not have asked more of Rubens Barrichello. Look at this. The other points man running in 6th place, Barbazza, throws the Minardi into a complete 360 spin. He will now actually move up a position back into the points paying position because Patrese, while he was doing this, managed to claw his way past him into 6th place. So that spin has cost Barbazza a point.
2 laps to go next time around for the leader Ayrton Senna and this man Damon Hill. You saw Alessandro Zanardi go by the spinning Barbazza in that replay. Zanardi was 1 lap down to Barbazza, however.
Oh, look at the gravel coming out of Zanardi's car. That's what happened. He was in the gravel trap somewhere, under braking. Of course, the G-forces suddenly go forward, and all the stones and gravel and debris that he picked up somewhere along the road just comes shooting out through the side pods. Look at Damon Hill. He can see this, and he's trying to get out of the way.
He's going to turn the racing line into a skating rink.
So Zanardi hanging on. He's only in 9th place. He won't make it to the pits. Hopefully there's not too much debris in there that would cause the engine to overheat and blow that forward engine up.
He might see a black flag before this one is over if he endangers those drivers behind him, dumping sand and gravel all over the racetrack.
You would think finishing 2nd in a Grand Prix would be a very happy situation for a Damon Hill. Believe me, this 2nd place will mean so much more than Brazil. Brazil, he was not really in attack mode. Get a quick look at Johnny Herbert here, who's now running in 4th place. But Damon Hill was in attack mode from the time he passed Prost here, and that will give him a tremendous confidence boost. And Frank Williams will know that, because remember, Damon Hill has only now, I believe, had 5 Grand Prix races in his career. Is this his 5th?
That's right. He drove the British Grand Prix last year in the Brabham and made it into one other as well. James Allen in the pits has more on Barrichello's situation now.
Well, you will use the word dejection, Bob, and dejection and desolation is very much in evidence in the Jordan pit. Both cars retired, but Barrichello looking so good for a podium place. Fuel pressure robbed him of that, and a very, very sad day for Jordan. Some very long faces, but his day will come, as you say.
All right, thank you, James. Way to hang in there. I guess the weather is taking its toll on your voice. There is Ayrton Senna.
And you can see how dark the day is becoming there from that camera shot. Well, Senna wanted rain this morning, looked to the skies and said, I hope it does rain. He got what he wanted. He played the game properly in the gamble. And it's hard to believe that a car that he really didn't want to drive for most of the winter has turned out to give him the World Championship lead, and in fact extend his lead. The only man he's interested in is Prost.
It could be his 38th, which will move him within 7 of Alain Prost, the all-time leader with 45 career victories. And I think the Williams team will look back on this day as one that might have been, one that got away. Senna has played the tire game absolutely perfectly, and now he is on his final lap at historic Donington Park.
Only qualified 4th. Made a statement afterwards that he did not get the best from the car. But look at the McLaren boys. They put in so much work to build these cars. They are delighted that they have someone like Senna driving the car, and they want to be part of the cheers and the celebration as he rolls this Marlboro car across the line.
Always an interesting relationship, the triangle of driver, car, and mechanic, because the mechanic is very much a part of the equation. That car is his, perhaps more than it is the driver's. He spends a great deal more time with it. I love talking with racing mechanics about how they feel about the cars.
That's Johnny Herbert. We see him. He's still in good shape here, still in 4th place. Senna won't put another lap on him, I doubt. All he needs to do is go down through the Melbourne Loop, and it's home to another victory. He has only started 145 races, but Senna has a phenomenal win ratio in that 145 races.
Attrition has been heavy today. Of the 25 starters, it appears that 10 will still be rolling at the finish. Senna, Hill, Prost, Herbert, Patrese, Barbazza, Fittipaldi, Zanardi, and Comas. Checkered flag is out. And for the first time in 55 years, it waves over Grand Prix machinery. Ayrton Senna making his McLaren team a very happy group.
Well, life isn't always fair. How it played into Senna's hands today, but there's not anybody here in the pits or anywhere at this track that doesn't feel bad for Jordan and Rubens Barrichello. What a great day, what a great show he put on. His day will come. His day in the sunshine will come, there is no doubt.
And I wouldn't be surprised if Ayrton Senna has a few comforting words for Rubens Barrichello when this is all over.
No, he wants the Brazilian flag, probably.
Flag is what he wants right here.
That's right.
He loves to wave the flag.
He wants the Brazilian flag. The engine is running. He stopped. He's telling them, hey, I want the flag. I want the rectangular thing. Now he's not allowed to get out of the car. He can't loosen the belts. Gerhard Berger can tell you that. He got into huge trouble a couple of years ago in Portugal for loosening the belts and taking his helmet off before he brought the car around. You saw Damon Hill, and whoa, there goes the... His only mistake all afternoon. It's wrapped around the rear suspension, but let's not forget Damon Hill. A superb drive, a confidence-building drive in the Williams. Damon Hill has a lot more good days to come. He's not far from that #1 position.
Truly his father's son, and it has to be important to Damon Hill to perform so well on a circuit that his father knew so well. In our footage of Jim Clark earlier, taken from the Lotus, you can see the trees just at the side of the racetrack. Racing has always been dangerous, and the men who succeeded at it are truly legends. Damon Hill may be one of those men someday, as his father was before him.
He was fastest this morning in the warm-up. He felt good. He doesn't mind the rain. He's been around here many, many times. Fastest in the warm-up gave him a little bit of confidence. But I think one thing that stood out all weekend with Damon, he's been very smooth and very consistent. Here's Alain Prost. He probably will be criticized tomorrow, particularly in the French press, because he does not adapt to these changing conditions very well. He practically gives Senna a huge edge as soon as the rain begins to come and there's wet, dry situations.
But he has survived a dozen years in Formula One due to that sort of circumspect judgment. I mentioned 10 cars rolling. There are actually 9. The 9 I told you about: Senna, Hill, Prost, Herbert, Patrese, Barbaza, Fittipaldi, Zanardi, and Comas.
Hey, Mike, hand me my channel lock pliers.
Tommy, hand me that plier over there with the blue handles. What kind of pliers is that? These are channel lock tone and groove pliers. My dad uses them on his race car, too.
For the tough jobs and the small jobs, reach for Channel Lock, the handiest plier of them all.
Hey, guys, anybody seen the channel lock pliers?
Channel Lock. Be sure you're getting genuine Channel Lock pliers. Look for this trademark.
Experience the pride.
Hey, that's super premium. Do you really think you need that high in octane for your car?
I don't know, but I do know this. I feel my car runs better on premium, and I have other things to worry about.
You don't take any chances, do you?
I figure if I put the best in, I'll get the best out.
So when good just isn't good enough for you, experience our best. Fly with the new superpower. Citgo.
A soggy crowd begins to file out of Donington Park. Hard to say how many folks were actually here, paying 120 pounds per ticket. But there was certainly at least 50,000 or so. Nigel Mansell is no longer in Formula One, but there is a core of British drivers who will bring them victory once again. Perhaps Damon Hill, who finished second today. We'll take a look at our final results as Ayrton Senna pulls into Parc Fermé to have his car inspected. He picks up his 38th Grand Prix victory. The margin of victory, 1 minute, 23.199 seconds over Damon Hill, finishing in third place, a lap down, 35 seconds behind Hill, Alain Prost, followed by Johnny Herbert, Riccardo Patrese, Fabrizio Barbaza, the top 6 points-paying finishers. Then Christian Fittipaldi, Alessandro Zanardi, Eric Comas, and not running at the finish, but classified, according to our timing and scoring, Rubens Barrichello and Michele Alboreto with the Lola team.
And the cars you see here disappear into what they call Parc Fermé. Basically, they impound the cars. The technical inspection team come down, check that everything is according to the rules and regulations. It's usually a formality, but they have to do it to make sure everybody keeps their nose clean and keeps within the regulations.
There's Michele Alboreto making his way down the pit lane. The Grand Prix of Europe is an at-large event. In order to keep the schedule at the 16 races that are a maximum, they will award an occasional event to a continent rather than a country, and that was the case this year for the Grand Prix of Europe, held 28 times in the past. There was to have been a Grand Prix of Asia this year at Autopolis, Japan, but that track went into receivership. The promoters said they could not put the race on, and so the race was awarded to Donington Park and to Tom Wheatcroft, a British businessman who made a fortune in the construction business. There's Damon Hill in the foreground, Ayrton Senna in the background. They'll be taken up to the podium to spray the champagne, and Senna looks unusually animated, it seems to me, for a man who has won 37 times before. Want to remind you about upcoming events here on ESPN. Checkered flag coverage of this race coming to you at the times and dates listed right there. The McLaren team has a right to feel happy about what's going on here. Our next Formula One race will be the Grand Prix of San Marino from Imola, Italy. The Autodromo Enzo and Dino Ferrari. Going now to Sports Weekly. I'm Bob Varsha for Derek Daly. Thanks for being with us. So long, everyone.
If there was a special one among the Fab Five, it was Chris Webber, the most exuberant of the Wolverines and the most gifted. Webber's gifts kept Michigan in the championship game against North Carolina, but it was his gaffe, his ill-timed timeout, that shattered Michigan's hopes and Webber's own high spirits. Can he still be a hero? The biggest prize in the free agency sweepstakes went to the smallest city in the National Football League. Reggie White, 3 times an All-Pro defensive